Confidence, Part 4. So we're getting into the meat of the book at the end of chapter 1 here. And Father starts off with telling us what the goal and content of the book is. This work has no other end than to incite you to the knowledge and practice of the virtue of confidence. Accordingly, its nature, confidence, its objects and foundation and effects will be expounded here very simply. O pious reader, if this modest little book should sometime fall into your hands, don't put it aside. Read it slowly with attention in a spirit of prayer. I would almost say meditate on it. Allow the teachings in its pages to sink deeply into your soul. They contain the quintessence of the gospel. Could there be a better food for souls than the words of our Lord? May you, upon finishing this reading, be able to confide solely in the Divine Master who has given us everything, the treasures of his heart, his love, his life, to the very last drop of his blood. Isn't that beautiful? Chapter 2, what are the nature and characteristics of confidence? Confidence is a firm hope. With the words that bear the mark of his genius, St. Thomas Aquinas defines confidence as a hope that is fortified by solid conviction. It is a hope strengthened by a solid conviction. We will devote this chapter to the explanation of these words. Let us attentively consider the terms employed by the angelic doctor. He says, confidence is a hope. It is not that ordinary hope common to all the faithful in baptism. A precise qualifier distinguishes confidence. It is a fortified hope. However, note well, there is no difference in nature, only in degree. In other words, there is no difference in nature. In what? In hope and confidence. Well, confidence is a hope, but actually it's a difference of degree of hope. That's what he's saying. So let's remember that. Confidence is a hope, but it's a hope that's founded on a conviction. The faint glimmer of the dawn and the dazzling light of the sun at its zenith form part of the same day, right? So hope and confidence pertain to the same virtue. One is the complete blossoming of the other. See that? Confidence is the blossoming of hope. You could almost say that hope has its conviction based on evidence. Because why would you hope for something for which you have no reasonable expectation of attaining? Well, where does the conviction come from? How is hope based on conviction? Well, you must be convinced that you have reason to hope. And what is that? The thing in which you put your hope is what gives you that superior conviction. A simple promise by Christ made. But other people may not have that same faith in those words and confidence that they'll be realized. And that's why the virtue given to those who ask for it strengthens that conviction. Hope and confidence pertain to the same virtue. One is the complete blossoming of the other. Ordinary hope is lost by despair. You know the word desperate? That pertains to despair. If someone is desperate, it really means that they're hopeless. Either that their case is hopeless or that they themselves are without hope. So when they talk about a girl who is desperate or a guy who is desperate, they mean that he or she has no hope of getting anything else. Desperate. I was asked by a lawyer once on the stand, a low-life lawyer, by the way, accusing me of speaking, as she said, despairingly of somebody else. What she meant was disparagingly. But she never thought that I would represent myself in this case. And the lawyer literally turned white. She was a white woman who turned very white. The other female attorney turned red out of anger, because they were the only ones in the courtroom who knew how to, get on the stand. And it was a low-life court I had to go through up in New York. Anyway, the lawyer said to the judge, he spoke despairingly of her. She meant disparagingly. All that law school training, she couldn't figure out the difference between despair and disparage. I just bring it up because people use the word wrongly. She was desperate. Not very good. You don't ever want to go through that, trust me when I tell you. So, ordinary hope is lost by despair. It can tolerate, however, a certain amount of anxiety. But when it reaches that perfection which merits for it the name of confidence, then it becomes more delicate and more sensitive. You know, you can't get through this without meditation. Spiritual truths can be embraced in the morning of one day and lost by the end of the day. And those of you who pray, you know this to be true. You wake up confident and faithful, and then you forget what you read the night before, and the anxieties of the day cause you to lose hope. That's not from God. If God's looking to increase your hope, you need to keep communicating with Him so He continues to give you graces through the day. If you don't, you'll lose hope. And it will go from confidence to barely what's identifiable as hope. It can no longer bear hesitation, however insignificant it may be. The slightest doubt would lessen it and reduce it to the level of mere hope. So he's saying ordinary hope is lost by despair. It can tolerate a little anxiety, but when hope reaches that perfection which merits for it the name of confidence, then it becomes more delicate and more sensitive. So confidence is more delicate and more sensitive. It can no longer bear hesitation, however insignificant the hesitation may be. The slightest doubt would lessen it. See that? The slightest doubt would lessen confidence, and so reduce it to the level of mere hope. Interesting, right? Don't doubt. The slightest doubt would lessen it. The slightest doubt. The royal prophet David selects his words most precisely when he calls confidence a super hope. It is indeed a question of a virtue carried to the very highest degree attainable. And Father Saint Jure, Father Saint Jure, Jure, one of the most esteemed spiritual writers of the 17th century, justly terms confidence an extraordinary and heroic hope. Confidence is not then a common flower. It grows on the crests. It does not permit itself to be picked except by magnanimous souls. What's a magnanimous soul? Magnanimous is big, generous. Okay? Let me give you the definition by Siri. Hey Siri, define magnanimous. Hey Siri, define magnanimous.
Magnanimous means generous or forgiving, especially towards a rival or less powerful person.
Generous or forgiving, especially toward a rival or less powerful person. I don't like that definition. It only relegates the word to a particular act of a magnanimous person. It's somebody who goes above and beyond, overlooking slights or injuries. Magnanimous, big-hearted. The reason I whispered into it was so that the object on which I'm recording this didn't pick it up and start defining it as well. So anyway, pray for confidence, an increase of confidence, faith, hope, and charity. But specifically for those virtues, but slowly, not mechanically. People, increase my faith, hope, and charity. I've prayed with families before. Families with little children. Every family I've prayed with that say, hey, come over for dinner. I come over for dinner, and this is the way the prayers are said. Increase in faith, hope, and charity. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. Blessed the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God. I don't want to criticize too harshly anybody, but it reminds me of a chapter in The Secret of the Rosary where Our Lady appeared to 3 children, to one in tattered clothing, to another in beautiful clothing, to another in varying degrees of beauty. And the worst was in tattered clothing, and the child said, why do you dress like that? She said, it's simply a reflection of the way you say your rosary. That's how you've adorned me. And so it reminds me of that, you know. Our Lady doesn't like, nor does God like when we rush our words. In fact, you know, you have to ask for things or pray with words, attentive words. That's why meditation is so much more powerful type of prayer than is vocal prayers. Vocal prayers permit your mind to wander because the brain is able to say the words while the mind thinks about other things. But if you're meditating, you can't meditate on 2 different things. You're either meditating on something about God, or you're meditating on a distraction. Can't do both. But when you are meditating on God, your mind is fully engaged, while a distraction, you're fully disengaged. And although that can happen while meditating, you realize my mind has wandered. But vocal prayers, you can say a couple of Hail Marys and say, oh my gosh, I just said 3 Hail Marys. I can't even, I got 3 beads in my fingers, and I really haven't meditated on the mystery yet. I'm thinking about work, or I'm thinking about dinner, or whatever else. See the difference? While meditation is, your mind is fully engaged in one or the other. And that's what makes meditation so powerful, is that the whole soul is engaged in the thinking, the petitions, the resolutions, the acts of love, while vocal prayers permit the mind to wander. And so we come to the next point. Oh, I'm at 15 minutes now. I will stop this and just upload it. The next section is confidence is fortified by faith. See you on the next one.